My name is Dinar, and I'm a PhD student, PhD candidate at the University of Bristol. At the moment, I'm doing my final year right now. So, I have already done my collection, my data collection stage, and now I want just to share some issues that I faced during my data collection stage, because it might be also applicable to your studies, since this kind of ethical issues might happen with any kind of research. So I will talk about the issues of research insider, since I think about myself, I'm a research insider, since I'm researching the context where I have my professional background, my academic background. And my research is a case study on EFL teachers. EFL means English as a foreign language teachers, and their role in language policy in education in Kazakhstan mainstream schools. In this, I mean trilingual language policy that is now widespread in our country. And so, you know that if we talk from the ethical point of view, we can be either researcher outsider or researcher insider, or we can be mixed with more going way to insiders or to outsiders part, right? And in my case, I'm a researcher insider. So what does it mean? Let's come to a little bit of definition. The first thing, researcher insider is the person who is doing research inside the organization where he or she already works. And the second one, when you do research in the organizations you are not working, you are not related to. However, you are related in a professional background way, maybe. So you are kind of possessing some intimate knowledge about this. And I'm doing research in the mainstream schools, and I am, my background, I'm a teacher. So I'm a teacher of English. I'm an EFL teacher who has more than 12 years experience at secondary school level. And if I go back to organizations, secondary school organizations especially, where I used to work, so I used to work at NAS schools, and you know that trilingual policy was the one that first ever launched in NAS schools, so that it will be translated all around Kazakhstan. I used to work in urban schools, and I used to work in rural schools in Kazakhstan. And at the moment, I'm researching mainstream schools in the context of urban and rural context. So if I go to my research very quickly, so the topic is related to trilingual policy. My participants were 13 EFL, so English as a foreign language teachers. And I have two sides, urban and rural. And my method was, so I did a qualitative study. So my method included several qualitative methods. So there were individual interviews that I did twice, like in between I did lesson observation disciplines. I did focus group interviews with the teachers, and I also did the documentary analysis of the policy documents, of the school documents. So actually I went home for more than 3 months, and I did my data collection on site. So what ethical issues as a researcher insider I faced during my research stage of data collection? Here I want to base my what ethical issues I have based on the theoretical framework of research insider issues by Mercer. Here you can see there are several ethical issues that the research insiders might face. The one is related to access, the other one related to familiarity. I will stop on all of them a little bit later. So the other one is informant bias, so socially desirable reporting, the interview reciprocity, and other research ethics issues. And if we go to access, so in this case, researcher insider should define himself or herself, okay, themselves, whether you are at the moment a researcher or you are a practitioner, a colleague, a fellow teacher, let's say. Or, for example, it can be applicable not only to my research. For example, if you're from other backgrounds, whether you're a researcher or you are a professional from this side. So the ethical issue in here, if you never define yourself, you will be finding yourself in the situation, are you researching or are you serving? So my case, it was the following. You can have a look and read, but I'll just explain it quickly. So I doing the sequence of lesson observations. So 2, 3, maybe 4 lesson observations of each teacher that was researched, right? And my research focus is about how this trilingual policy is being implemented. What I'm only looking from the policy perspective, not from the teaching perspective, not from the perspective of how to improve your teaching or something, right? And when I did these observations, what my participant teachers expected, they expected me after my observation to give them some feedback. Oh, you did this good, you did this bad. And then they even asked me, when I enter their classrooms, they asked me, could you please look, I have some naughty guys in my room, what should I do in order to make them better? But this is not my focus at all. So in this case, how do you think like the researcher can avoid this? In my case, what I did, I said that, okay, let me observe 2 or 3 lessons of yours with my research focus. And after I finish all my data collection, you can invite me and I can observe as your colleague, as a person who has some background. In my case, I'm not only a teacher, I'm also a teacher instructor. I mean, I'm also instructing English language teachers how to teach, because I did this kind of CELTA, Delta courses. It's a special courses that allow you to instruct teachers. And they were expecting me to give them good advice, but I'm not allowed to do that. So this is, and it can happen in any kind of context. Even if you go back to yourself, maybe it can happen to you as well. Are you a researcher here, just a person that is objectively looking at the reality, or are you someone who is going to serve, to help, to guide, and so on? The second, so it means like even if you have access, it doesn't mean that you have enough access. You know. The second one is familiarity, and it's and Mercer defines this as a double-edged sword. You know, the knights use a sword, and so why is double-edged? It has both good sides and bad sides when you are familiar with the context. So in my case, I'm researching this language policy stuff from the perspective of the values that are also imparted while implementing this policy. And where I take these values, because the first time when the policy was launched in Kazakhstan, in NAS schools and some other specially organized schools for this trilingual policy, there were also the agendas that there will be also some stuff like values, not only languages, but values as well. And so I have this like kind of pre-understanding. I know as I was working at NAS at the very beginning when it was just open, so I know how this policy was launched in the first place. So I have this kind of pre-understanding how the policy should be launched around the country, because we were taught how to do that. But that actually plays a bad game with me, because my pre-understanding is not something that is actually happening in the reality, right? And the thing here is that so either on the data collection or on your data analysis stage, there could be some research-shaped understandings. So you do understandings because of your professional background, because of your academic background. And you do not ask more, you do not research more. For example, you ask a question, the teacher or maybe your participant answered, and you understand why this answer is coming. And you never ask why, because you have some pre-understanding knowledge. But maybe that answer was not because of that general matter, but there is something behind this answer, right? So in this case, I had this kind of issue. My first 2 interviews, like I did, like okay, I know why she said yes, why she said no. But then I started asking myself, I know, but maybe they have another meaning under saying yes or no, for example. So this is another thing of researchers insiders. When you have a lot of background knowledge, it might actually play be not good for you as well. But it is also very good. If you know a lot of knowledge, you know what kind of questions to ask. It's not about like if you are totally outsider and you never know the context, right? The informed bias or socially desirable reporting. So in here, I just want to give you one example. So when I came to my research sites, I had several research sites, so several urban schools, several rural schools. And first, of course, I introduced my research. I say that this is my research, I'm doing this, I'm doing trilingual policy. And then teachers, when they heard about trilingual policy, they are kind of trying to give me this socially desirable reporting. So they think that I'm here to see and to inspect them whether they do this trilingual goals. And I go to the lessons and they, for example, have something like, I don't know, that they introduce the notion of book and they say book, ktab, kniga. But, and you can see, students like, we never do this, we only did this in English, why we do this now in 3 languages? So, maybe did you face this when you did data collection? Like when your participants feed you with something they think you want from them. But I don't want that. I want just objective reality. If yes, yes. If no, no. Okay, that's my finding. If no finding, this is good finding. Why there is no finding? Or for example, during my interviews, I just ask the question, do you know about Rome? Yes, we know everything about Rome. So this is something that's socially desirable stuff. It's not with all the cases, just some cases. Okay? And in this case, as a research insider, you of course need to think about how you will probe, what kind of rapport you will do with teachers. What should you tell in advance? Like, please do not do this show-off lessons for me, for example, in my case. I just came here not to inspect you, not to say that you are doing right or wrong stuff, right? So this is, so in this Crown and Marlowe, they say that participants share their opinions and answers which present them in the best accepted position. And they think this position is the approval from me, for example, from a researcher. This is best accepted position, but in my mind, right? Okay, and interview reciprocity. So you know the word karma, right? So interview reciprocity is something like karma. So for the researchers, you might like kind of face the karma. So for example, what does it mean? In this case, how you come to people, that way people will come to you, right? Like will respond to you. Like for example, in what way I don't know, I greet you, the same way you will greet me back, right? So when I did my first interview, I asked some questions and teachers are not like, how to say, are not maybe aware of some stuff, and I'm asking the questions and I understand that they are not aware. Then I go to their lessons, but I see, for example, I ask about, do you know about autonomous language learning or critical thinking? And they know, like, but they don't know how to tell me about this in a, I don't know, in a maybe more, right? And then I go to the lessons and I observe and I say, oh wow, this teacher is using a lot of critical thinking during the lesson. And then I go to the second interview and I say, oh, you know, in your lesson I noticed so many critical thinking stuff, like in this case, and teachers start being open, like, yeah, you know, and I do this and I do that and this and that. And at this moment you understand that you actually guided the person how to answer you, because you were so like kind of supportive, right? But in this case, you should be a little bit detached. You should not be so you should be supportive, but you should be detached. You should understand that you are a researcher. You are not a colleague. You are not somebody in here, right? And the last one is research ethics stuff. This one, there are several things. Like one is, for example, when you have some notion, something in your research, let's say, some notions, right, and some concepts, and you start talking about this kind of stuff, and teachers don't understand, and it's actually kind of, how to say, this will contaminate your study. You need to explain, like, you need to say, oh, this means this means this. This, you are talking more. You're not researching, you are just kind of person to explain, to train, right? So in this case, it's better to have a lot of good, like, prompts, maybe probing questions, like, and also good paraphrasing techniques, right? So you can easily paraphrase what you are saying. The second thing, confidentiality of data. It's like, for example, you go to do some research and you kind of, let's say, you've seen something that should not be shared, some incidental data, right? You've heard something that could not be shared. So, but you think that this is good for your research, but maybe teachers don't want you to use that. So it also kind of a thing, right? And also this is relates to interviews. Sometimes teachers share some stuff with me, but then they say, could you please remove this? I don't want to share this. And protection identity. That was an interesting case because I go to several urban schools and several rural schools. And just imagine like a researcher from the University of Bristol came to some rural school, very, like small village. They never see maybe a person from, studying abroad to come to their school and to do research. And they want me to put in their social media, this person is doing research in our place about this. And then it reveals everything about me, right? It reveals all my research. Then there is no protecting identity of this research side of me. So I'm against all the assets, right? So what I did, I actually asked them, please do not mention me in any social media or anywhere. But of course they won't, and I can't say them no, right? And I said, once I finish my research, I will come as your teacher fellow, as your professional, as an instructor, and I do some free workshops, free seminars about how to teach English, and you can share everything. Like this researcher came, this person came and shared a lot of, and you can put videos, everything, but never mention that I did any research at your site. So that's actually the ethical stuff with research inside of MySpace. And in the conclusion, even you are inside or outside or you are mixed, all the time you should ask yourself a question before you go to do your data collection or data analysis. Or even you do your literature review because you also have some pre-understanding knowledge, right? Are you a researcher or are you a practitioner? In here I could teach a practitioner myself, right? But just a practitioner, just the person with a professional background in this field. Or are you not? So that's the end. Thank you.